the methods of family planning. Sex should not be painful. If you're having pain during the beginning of coitus or of sex, it means that you're not lubricated enough. So for the first 6 months, your body is going to actively try and reject this thing. Okay, so you'll have cramps, and because the uterus is designed to push out a baby. Trust me, it can push out a coil. So now you'll be bleeding 100, 150. You'll see clots and things like that. It's very important that once that coil is put, we check, is it in the right place? But if you are not feeling it, and now you're feeling it, it could have moved. How will you know? Your husband will tell you. Nikana dungwa, because the first person who will know it has moved is your partner. Next is temporary methods. These are called barrier methods. Okay. I'll split temporary into two. I'll speak about hormonal methods and non-hormonal methods. We are very scared about hormonal methods for reasons that I will debunk today, and there are non-hormonal methods. In non-hormonal methods, we have barrier methods. Okay. In Kenya, we only use the condom. There are male condoms, there are female condoms, there are diaphragms, there are things we call spermicides. All those are there, alive and well. Okay? But mostly we use the male condom. The female condom looks like a bag. Looks like this. Then it has a hole here and a hole of a similar aperture below. Okay? Then it is pressed into a C. Should have come with them. You do this, and then you switch, and then you hold it like this. Okay. Remember, it's a bag. Okay. Can I put this down? Okay. So it's a bag. This bag is like this. You twist it on itself. You compress it. You take it. You push it inside your vagina an hour before you meet your husband. In the laws of practicality, how practical is that? How practical is that? Yeah? Yeah. But it is there, alive and well. So we have the barrier method. The barrier method has something we call typical use and perfect use. When we use the barrier method, now being the condom, when we use it, typically it has an 8% failure rate. When you use it perfectly, it is said to have a 3% failure rate. Okay? So there's a difference between typical use and perfect use. Perfect use is described very aptly in our Wills for Life channel. But you have to use it before you actually start getting precum, when you initially start getting hard. Okay? Anytime you have ejaculation, you have to stop whatever you're doing, remove it, clean yourself, then go back for round 2. You understand? So once ejaculation has happened, and then you continue with the process because in a donjo, if otundio, it shrivels, and then babies come out, and sperm comes out and moves into the vagina. So perfect use is that every time you ejaculate, you come out, dispose, wipe, get hard, and continue. Okay? Yeah, it allows for multiple rounds. It's a good thing. That's why it comes in a pack of 3. Have you never thought why they come in packs of 3? Mnatumia moja tu mnaenda na Yesu, alafu you get pregnant. Okay? Yeah, so that's a condom. Now, the next natural method, temporal method, I think we've covered the condom fully. I'll now go into hormonal, then I'll finish with the coil. Okay? So, pills. When you look at hormonal methods, there are 2. We have hormonal methods that use estrogen and progesterone, and we have hormonal methods that use progesterone only. I told you that anything we use in science is mimicked from the body and how the body works. So estrogen and progesterone typically is trying to mimic the usual progression of estrogen and progesterone that happens every day of the month of a woman. Estrogen and progesterone is what gives you those folliculars and the luteals. Yeah? It's what gives you that. So that as your estrogen is going, when your cycle is starting, you have a hormone called follicular stimulating hormone that comes from your brain, tells the ovary, we need eggs. That hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, starts making the follicles grow. You know that women are born with all the babies they will ever have in their womb. The capacity is 40 million. At birth, it's 2 million. 2 million. So at around puberty, you get to maybe 1 million, something less. Every month, 6 to 7 follicles are called. Okay? Every month, 6 to 7 follicles are called. Out of these 6, one of them will grow faster than the others. So when we talk about the chosen sperm, we also have a chosen egg. Your child is not a mistake. Okay, you have a chosen egg that grew faster than the other 6 or 7 brothers. And as it grows, it starts producing hormones to protect itself. Okay, those hormones are estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so as this pregnancy is growing, the estrogen that this egg is coming with, just so you know how God built us. Yani, we are built and designed. So as this egg is growing, it's releasing estrogen. This estrogen goes to the womb. So at the womb or the uterus, it starts making the lining of the womb to grow. Okay, so that lining, it's being told there's a baby coming. We need a fresh bed of roses. There's a baby coming. So that lining starts growing, starts getting more blood vessels, start getting thick. Thick. Why? Because there's a baby coming. So as the estrogen is going to a particular level, the body is like, now we are ready. It releases another hormone, luteinizing hormone. What's there in the background? It was there. So this luteinizing hormone now knows, okay, because the estrogen has come to a particular point, it's my time to shine. It peaks. Have you ever seen mothers who are struggling to get babies? They say they did an ovulation kit. Okay, there's something called an ovulation kit. It looks at the hormone, luteinizing hormone, and the peak of it. When that hormone peaks, the body is like, now we are ready. Now we are ready. It's time for this egg to come out. 36 hours later, 24 to 36, again, I told you, ranges. 24 to 36 hours later, the egg comes out of the ovary. And it's such, it's like it flies out. Because you can imagine this thing is microscopic. The organ of the ovary is something like this. And the egg is this size. Okay? So it has to swim to the edge, then burst out. So if you're a woman here and you get pain during ovulation, feel like a tenderness here, it's because something burst out of an organ. Okay. So it bursts out. Then the body is like, okay, it's time. Ukunje, your pheromones are waking up. They're telling your husband, I'm the one. Can you see? I am adorned. I'm the queen of Sheba. Yeah? They're telling your husband, so your husband is also ready. My woman is coming. Okay? So when that happens, the egg, remember it had a shell. It came out of that shell. That egg and the shell that remained automatically becomes a cyst. That cyst is called a corpus luteal cyst. Its work and only work is to produce progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone of pregnancy. Okay? So as that hormone is coming or pregnancy, remember the lining that was made in the womb? It is now stabilized. There's a baby coming. Relax. There's a baby coming. So remember Queen of Sheba, King Solomon, kule pande lengine, sperm is released. This sperm goes through a journey. It goes from down there at the vaginal level. There's a good 8 centimeters to 11 vaginal length. In sperm world, that's from here to there. Okay? There's a good length of vagina. And that organ, let me call it an organ because it is, can stretch and accommodate anything that you think of. Okay? So you can never be too big. In other words, it will stretch and accommodate because our head comes out of there. Do you know how big a head is? 10 centimeters. From here to here. So men, relax. We got you. We got you. Relax. But for us to be able to accommodate for you, you have to give us time. We will come to intimacy. Okay. So as this sperm, as a man is getting ready, the lady is getting ready, sexual intercourse has happened. The work, by the way, the work of the shaft, all these things, pleasure and everything, all that considered, is to bypass the 8 centimeters to get to the cervix. That's it. Okay. If you look at it developmentally, I'm not negating everything else that it does, but it recognizes there's a distance. But because God is God, it's like something needs to cover this distance. Therefore, let me make it long, right? So that I get there. I can get there. Okay. So now that you've gotten there, another thing, the cervix, if you hit the cervix well enough, it has so many nerve endings. You get an orgasm. What am I trying to say? Because the head of the penis has enough nerve endings, right? And then God designed that the cervix on that other corner also has nerve endings. Why? So that you are energized to try and get there. Yeah? To try and get there so that this woman can climax, that you can climax, so that you deposit sperm to the cervix. Okay, so when you deposit sperm to the cervix, what happens is that it has to be remodeled. It has to be given extra energy, something we call acclimatization, so that this sperm can make the journey. It's a journey. Because the uterus normally is 9 centimeters. Let me tell you, men, you travel. You travel. So the shaft helped us, we got here. The uterus is there. Okay? So it has to be given enough energy. This is why men, you need to eat well. What is that KFC you're eating? Please. You need to eat well because the sperm needs to be given enough fructose to move. Anyway, so it moves. The sperm move. So as they're moving, so now you understand why we ask you for a semi-analysis as men. There are sperms that will go like this. First of all, the deposit has 40 million and above. If you come with less than 40 million, we'll tell you don't have enough. Less than 40 million, because we have capacity of 115 million per ejaculate. Per. Again, men, you need to eat well. It's a journey. Yeah? So you release this sperm. This sperm is coming. Then there are those sperm that will come and do this and go back. Okay? They will go back. Okay. Then there are those ones who they're not so sure where we are going. So they do that. Okay? They just go around in circles. Tunaenda. Okay. That's why they need to be 150 million, because they're confused. There are many. There are many. Okay? Then that this one's now, oh, ni hapa, oh, ni hapa, hazisongi, ziko tu. We call those ones slow. They're just, and it happens in life. You mark timing. We're still making a decision. Are we moving or are we? Then there are those ones who now are fast. They go. But they're going in the wrong direction. They're going in the right. So by the time we get the few that know where they're going, it's a journey. Please pray for your men. Okay? And then let me tell you, there are two types of men in that sperm, in that testicle. Two. They have those who are called X and those are called Y. Okay. So I told you, men travel. This is the male sperm. It does this. And then it moves. So if you had sex 5 days ago, you're not getting a boy. Unlikely. That sperm moved at the speed of lightning, and it went, and it went, and it got there, and it turned, and then, there's no one. You get? There's no one. And then there's the X sperm. It just, tunakam to, sujali, tunakam to. Yeah? You understand? Those are the ones that survive for 5 days. You understand? Yeah. Okay, that's also, I can't tell you pinpoint, but that's how we know scientifically. Do with that knowledge what you want. Okay? Do with that knowledge what you want. Anyway, so once they reach here, I wish I came with my model. Once they reach here, they turn their tubes. Tube is another 8 to 10 centimeters. Safari ni refu. Hey, so that when you see your child, know this person won. They did. They did. Because that boy or that girl worked. I think they worked to get here. Anyway, so they are here. The men turn. The egg, the ovary is on this side. Okay. The ovary is here. The egg, remember, it came out. Now, when that egg comes out, it takes for the fallopian tube to fill. Chemotactically, it just does this. Where have you gone, my daughter? It can only be daughter. Girls only produce X's. Only. Where are you, my daughter? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Okay. So it's like a vacuum. It's filling for, where is this egg? Where is this egg? Where is this egg? That's why if you've had a tubal pregnancy or an ectopic pregnancy and we remove one tube, the other one can move from here and go behind and go to this ovary and still pick up. It is that mobile. God is that amazing. So remember the sperm who were running? Remember, they were 10 million. Sorry, 150 million. We lost some along the way. We got there. Maybe 10 million have arrived at the tube. Only one will be chosen. And sometimes it's not even the first that got there. The egg can refuse as partner, like a sperm. It can refuse. We have done IVF. IVF means we took your egg, we took your sperm, we checked them in the lab. They're okay. Everything is okay with that sperm, everything is okay with that egg. We joined them together, and the egg can still say no. We have actually seen them say no. You understand? So it's not automatic. So anyway, you get your baby, they move, then that whole cycle ends. From there, they go from the tube, fertilize, they come to the womb, they're implanted, and life moves. So family planning works in multiple ways. Hormonal. I know there's estrogen and there's progesterone. I know estrogen needs to rise so that you can ovulate. I block that estrogen from rising. Why? I give you a steady state. That pill that you take every day, that patch, is a steady state. estrogen and progesterone at the same dose every single day. The body needs a peak and a trough for you to conceive. Okay, for ovulation to happen. So COCPs or pills that have estrogen, the Femiplan, the microgynon are not have those. They put estrogen and progesterone here in a straight line. So you will never ovulate. Therefore, you cannot conceive. You understand? What did they block? What did they block? Ovulation. They blocked what? Ovulation. Then there's progesterone only. Progesterone only methods, they block that cervix from allowing things to go in. Remember that cervix, that whole story of mine? They block the gate here. The sperm come and bounce back. They come and bounce back. They come and bounce back. Similar to what happens in pregnancy. Because progesterone is the hormone of pregnancy. So because we realize people don't get pregnant when they're pregnant, they don't get pregnant, yes, when they're pregnant, the hormone that was designed looks like progesterone of the body. It's synthetic, but it looks like the progesterone of the body. Okay? So therefore, it blocks, it makes that cervix so thick that sperm cannot pass through. Okay. It also does other things. It blocks estrogen from coming. So if estrogen, there's something we call a negative feedback. So because progesterone is so high, estrogen cannot rise that much. Okay. So because estrogen cannot rise that much, you also, again, don't ovulate. Okay. But the main mechanism of action is down here. Okay. Now, in pregnancy, do you lose weight or gain weight? Are there women who lose weight in pregnancy? There are women who lose weight in pregnancy. Are you happy or sad or in pregnancy? It depends on the day, isn't it? But your emotions are all over the place. Okay? Do you get acne or not? Do you get acne in pregnancy? Again, it depends on the person. Cindy, is your libido high or not? Again, it depends on the pregnancy. That's not even the person. It depends on the pregnancy. So therefore, the side effects are the same. Okay? There are those ones who will have very high libido on implant, on the depot, on the pill, the microlute pill. There are those ones who will have very high libido. There are those ones who it will tank. Okay. There are those ones who will be happy and sad and, oh God, what's going on with this woman? And there are those ones who will just be fine, moving on as if there's nothing. There are those ones who gain weight and then there are those ones who lose weight enough to ask questions. Okay. And I cannot tell you whether you are which one. The only thing we can do is give you the method and see how it behaves. If it's not behaving well, we remove. We try another one. Okay. So you choose your pro and your cons. Okay? Now, the same progesterone methods, they can give you irregular bleeding. And why are they giving you irregular bleeding? Because remember the lining I was telling you that was preparing for the baby? That lining is not being made. Okay? Because now estrogen is not working at optimum level, also you're not ovulating. So because it's not being made, the progesterone makes that place, it doesn't have much to stabilize. So you'll get to a point that you just start bleeding. And it's not a heavy bleed usually. It's a prolonged, irritating, when will you end spotting? Okay? Happy wants to touch you and Aki, I'm still spotting. Aki, I'm still spotting. Aki, I'm still end up toyo kitu na kusumbua. Okay. But that just tells us that there's an estrogen deficit. So what do we do when you come to us? We put you back on the pill. Remember the first one, the estrogen and progesterone, to balance you out for 3 months and then you should be okay. Okay? If you're using an estrogen dominant method, we know progesterone is not there, we give you progesterone. But most of the time it will be an estrogen deficiency. Okay, I hope mkona mimi, you're with me. Okay, sawa. So that's estrogen and progesterone methods and progesterone. Tumemaliza hormonal. Tumemaliza. Tumesikia anything? Suicide, abortion, tumesikia implantation failure. Have you had those ones? No. Okay. There's only one method that causes, the main way it works is that it prevents implantation. And why is that? Is that it thins out the lining of the uterus. And it's actually designed as medication. That if you have fibroids that are irritating you, if you have adenomyosis, that just irregular menstrual bleeding, for whatever reason, especially that is painful, that is heavy, it is designed to thin the lining. It's called Mirena. Okay? So Mirena doesn't work so much to irritate the uterus, as you will hear with the IUCD. It works more to make that lining very thin. So if there's a very thin lining, close to nothing actually, then when you have a baby trying to implant, it finds there's no prepared wall. Okay, so it's one of the most sure bet methods of family planning. However, it is one of the most expensive. It's like burning a house to kill a rat. You understand? So we will not recommend that often unless you have other issues. You're bleeding too much, you have endometriosis, you have adenomyosis, we've come from surgery. You get, like, it's a treatment in and of itself before we look at its family planning role. Okay. So the permanent method now, the non-hormonal coil. The non-hormonal coil is a plastic rod that has copper instituted in it. How long it works for you depends on how much copper is in that lining. So it's either 375 or 380. If it's 380A, it lasts for 10 years. If it's 375, it lasts for 5 years. Okay. This method will not affect your moods. It will not make you fat or thin. It will not interfere with anything, but it will irritate your lining. That's how it's designed to work. Copper is a direct antagonist of sperms. Sperms don't do well anywhere where there's copper. Okay? So it is a spermicide in effect. Okay, so it irritates that lining so much, but more so is that it makes the sperm stop that long journey. Understood? That zikigonga here, the waves, it's too much. They fall away and die. Okay, so that's how copper T works. But it's a foreign body. So for the first 6 months, your body is going to actively try and reject this thing. Okay, so you'll have cramps, and are you seeing how much I am? Because the uterus is designed to push out a baby. Trust me, it can push out a coil. Okay, so it works well to try and push these things out. And then that cramp will give you what? Back pain. Okay, because the power of the uterus starts from somewhere. Okay, and the nerves now go to the spine. So it will also give you heavy bleeding. Heavy bleeding, why? I'm irritating this lining. So it's just shedding off more than it should. Ideally, you bleed 20 to 80 mils every menstrual cycle. So now you'll be bleeding 100, 150. You'll see clots and things like that. The good news is that in 6 months or so, it settles. Okay? For a majority of the people. Okay? But for some people, it may not settle. We'll try and reduce the bleeding for you. If it's still too much, we can remove the pill, the coil. Try and institute one that has less copper. If that doesn't work, it's fine. Okay. Okay? So that's how copper T works. Now, remember I told you the uterus can try and push it out? So it managed to move from that. If that is, let me use here because I'm here. So if this is the fundus or the top of the uterus, it can push it to reach here, this coil. Okay, so there's a space where up. So any sperm that makes it will pass. And then it will go and fertilize. Okay, So it's very important that once that coil is put, we check, is it in the right place? After 2 months, because we know your body has been working tirelessly for that 2 months, we check, is it still in the right place? After 6 months, we do a scan, we check, it is still in the right place. After that, we're not stressed. But every year, when we're doing your usual gynae check, we will check. It is still in the right place. Okay. We used to tell women, you put your fingers up and you feel for the threads. What would happen is that they would put their fingers up, hold, and come out with it. Okay. So ulimwambia akapeleke vidole huko juu. Especially for those that are behind or very up. So as you're trying to feel for, you just, okay. Now, nowadays we don't tell you to check. Please just go do your scan. Okay. But if you are not feeling it, and now you're feeling it, it could have moved. How will you know? Your husband will tell you. Okay. Your husband will tell you, nikana dungwa. Is how. You get, there's something poking me. What's up? So when that happens, we check. We do this. We check. Are the threads too long? We cut them for you. But before we cut them for you, we do a scan and confirm it's in the right place. Because the first person who will know it has moved is your partner. I don't expect you to be washing your vagina with your fingers inside. That's a whole different topic. Okay? Yeah. So, please, if your partner comes and says, nasikia, listen, go to your gyna, have it checked. Sawa sawa. That's the most common reason as to why you can get a failure of the coil. Okay.